Hey folks, this is Sooty here for the director's commentary for the Eyesight Test, episode 1 of Thomas and Friends Back on Track. So let's just get right into it. I'm really looking forward to this. So right off the bat, we have this little intro sequence I made here. So I actually used a version of the Thomas theme that was just like a random post on YouTube. It was just some cover of it. I don't even know where it's from, but it was something kind of different, but it really slapped. So I still decided to use it anyway for my intro sequence. And it was kind of funny because I was editing the intro sequence for this, but I couldn't decide what footage I like best. So in the end, I just decided to make 7 or 8 different intros and then use a different one for each episode. So you'll notice that this intro is totally different to the one in Henry's Hoax. But I still kept the same intro with the same bit with Thomas at the beginning and the very end of the intro sequence, which I thought would kind of link them all together in a way. And of course, you'll notice I used the Thomas Rockwell font that's typically used in the Thomas episodes or the sing-along songs, because of course you got to use that font. And yeah, that's about it for the little intro sequence here. It was actually made pretty late. I only made it, I think, in 2021, actually. So here we go, the Eyesight Test. So this story was based on an article on the Thomas the Tank Engine Wikia. So I was just kind of browsing it back in 2019 for just a few story ideas, and I came across this one called the Eyesight Test. And it was just so bizarre because I had never heard of it before. Even though I've spent, countless hours as a kid, browsing Thomas Wikia, I've never heard of these magazine stories. And it was just such a fascinating idea, like an engine having an eyesight test. And I love the idea, so I just kind of ran with it. So I don't actually own the original magazine story. I just based it off the description on the Wikia. And I took a few creative liberties, obviously, in the original story. I don't think Thomas nearly runs over anyone in the original magazine story. But that was added to make it a lot more exciting. Although I think Thomas does crash, No, sorry. In the Wikia article, it just says that he misses the station. He has the eyesight test. The Vet controller leaves him the card saying, keep your eyes open, and then the engines get some sleeping masks. So that's kind of a nice little story, but I decided to make the lesson more about, not boasting, getting a good night's sleep, and also railway safety, which I'll talk about in a bit. And lastly, this story was also kind of inspired by the Unlucky Tugs video, where he asks if an engine can still function even if they're sleeping. So this was kind of my answer to that unanswerable Thomas question. But anyway, so right off the bat, we have the eyesight test here. So you got Thomas, Percy, and Toby at the Farquhar sheds. Now, this shed was built by me and my dad. So basically what we did is that I just took a bunch of screenshots of the Farquhar sheds from, I think, The Runaway or something, or Thomas Comes to Breakfast. And I just kind of roughly measured it to make it taller than the Bachmann engines, obviously. And then we just kind of printed it on cardstock, glued it together. There's some like little wood sticks you can kind of see in the background of some shots. There are some wooden sticks holding the support beams, I guess you can call them, in between the berths. But basically, that's how the sheds were built. And if you watch the 2019 and 2021 comparison video, you'll see that in the original version, I made the mistake of trying to make everything super dark while I was filming it to make it look like nighttime. Here's a tip. Don't ever do that. Just make it look like nighttime in post-production. Just lower the temperature to make it look cool, make the shadows greater or lower the highlights. Just don't film in the dark, or unless you got a really good camera, don't film it in the dark if you're just starting out, because that was a big mistake. And after I filmed it, I could not salvage the footage. So I ended up rebuilding a miniature version of the Farquhar sheds in 2021. Twice, actually. I filmed it for a bit for Green Grocery Engine, which I forgot to film back in 2019. But then a week later, after I deassembled it, I assembled it all over again to film the shots of Thomas, Toby, and Percy just at the beginning here. And I should probably mention, these sets are all just built on these big wooden tables. We have a really, really big wooden table, which I used throughout most of 2019, and then sort of a smaller one, which I use now because the large one is just like an absolute unit. Like it is really hard to move. You need like 4 people at least to move it. But basically, they're just built on these little tables. And then the backdrop I had a few comments about this. That was a custom backdrop I edited together. And then I asked Staples to print it on a giant poster. And it was kind of interesting because I kind of hustled them a bit. I ordered a poster. The bottom half was my Thomas backdrop, which is about 6 feet long. But then the second half of the poster were 2 3-foot long Zootopia posters, which I intend to use for other videos. So I kind of got 3 posters for the price of 1 in a way, and I didn't need them to be any bigger than just half the poster size. So that was kind of nice. And basically the poster is set up on this little kind of bridge kind of section almost. It kind of sits on these little, it's clamped down with C-clamps on these like little cardboard stands kind of, and then it sits on top of a kind of a wooden base. And I also got some inspiration from Leo Kim Video in one of his Mad Bomber behind the scenes, where he explains that he leaves a gap between the backdrop and the set. So I try to do that as often as I can, leave about maybe a 1-foot gap between the table and the backdrop, which is about level with the table as well. Anyway, so that's enough about the sets. I think I've talked enough about the sets. So I'm basically just going to go through this episode shot for shot and talk about each set, if there's anything interesting or any Easter eggs added in and stuff like that. So let's keep going. Enough talking. So I thought it would be nice to start and finish the episode with the Farquhar Sheds, which is actually one of my favorite locations in the show. I love Thomas Comes to Breakfast. I love The Runaway. Double Trouble are all my favorites, I think. So I really wanted to start my series and this episode just off at the Farquhar Sheds with the iconic trio of Thomas, Percy, and Toby, of course. So, of course, in this scene, it wouldn't be complete without the amazing sound effects and music by GW Shunter, Mavis M, Angry Bird Fan, and Sudrian Afro. In my opinion, it's their sound effects and music that really makes a Thomas video feel like a Thomas video. Like, even the little cricket sound effects or the owl sound effects in the background, in my opinion, as soon as I add in all those little things, it just, it really gets that classic Thomas aesthetic, if you will. So that really just brings my whole video to completion, is adding those music and those sound effects, which I can't believe how many there are. You'd be amazed. Just adding in a little bit of yard ambience or whatever, it makes the whole scene just come alive. Anyway, I've never talked this much about Thomas in my life. Anyway, so as you can see here, we have a transition to the day scene. So what I actually just did is that since I filmed the footage in complete darkness in 2019, I just re-edited the daytime scene to look like nighttime with different face masks, and that's about it. So in this shot here, with Thomas leaving the sheds, I added in a little, I lowered the pitch of his whistle to make it kind of funny, like he's really sleepy. And this whole shot was inspired by the bit in Thomas and Gordon, when Thomas is crawling out of the sheds. Oh dear, oh dear. There's the same music from Angry Bird Fan, and the same, face mask and everything, too. And then I talked about a bit about the Farquhar Yard here. So the station off to the left here is actually the same station I used for Hackenbeck. I kind of like to imagine that the station is right beside the sheds, kind of like in, I think it was Thomas and the Evil Diesel or something. They were side by side. I don't know. Just to be clear, my Soto geography is bonkers. There is no consistency. I'll have the Express and Thomas's train going on the same track between episodes. I have no timetable or no geography. So here is just a little miniature set. It was meant to be kind of like the exit to the Farquhar Yards and onto Thomas's branch line. And then the traveling shots here. So this was before I decided to make my traveling shots really complicated. I just asked my little brother to slide the backdrop in the background, and then of course I added some steam effects and some shaking effects. Anyway, we got this little shot of the wheels here. This shot of Thomas passing by actually took 10 takes because Thomas wouldn't run smoothly. So you can see in the blooper reel, there's just 10 takes of Thomas just filming this simple little shot. I don't know why it took so long. But anyway, next shot here, this is a little farmland, I guess. So something I am pretty proud of is how I managed to film multiple episodes on the same set, because I spend at least an hour building every set. So I get the most I can out of every set by filming multiple engines and multiple, stock footage on every single set. So on this set here, I also filmed Percy going by, which you should have seen in the sneak peek for Green Grocery Engine. I'm just shamelessly plugging my channel left and right here. But this set is just basically some wooden railway toys, some woodland scenics, Bachman stuff, and that's about it. This shot also took a few tries because Thomas would run more smoothly when he was going backwards than forwards. So this also took a couple of tries, and I don't know why. Oh, that actually reminds me. Another trick I use is that if you wanna, if an engine runs better forward or backward in a certain direction, film the engine going one way, and then keep rolling, and then just film the engine going backwards if you can, and then in your editing software, just reverse the footage. So that way, if you film an engine going forward across a set twice, you can get 3 takes out of it if you reverse the footage of the engine going backwards. Okay, next we have Hackenbeck Station here. Of course, you got the Danger theme by Mavis M here. And then the station here, this Hackenbeck Station, was actually, I think it's actually Farquhar. So it came from this like Thomas paper kit that I've had for as long as I can remember. I'll put some pictures on screen now, but it's a really cool little paper kit that came with a giant Thomas, Birdie, Annie Clarabelle, and it turned out to be almost the exact perfect scale for the Bachmann engines. This is one of my favorite shots here of Thomas approaching from like, you know, his point of view. Hackenbeck was built from at least 2 or 3 different angles. So the first angle, of course, was the crash perspective here, you know, from this sort of angle. There was the point of view shot, which I just showed you. And then I think 1 or 2 others where it was from Thomas's point of view when he approaches the Fat Controller. I had to rebuild it again. And then there was the ending shot when Thomas puffs away. So I kind of had to rotate the whole set and then build like, and then I had to, you know, add scenery on almost every single side to, you know, not break the illusion that it's just a small set. In this set here, there's also some little houses in the background with some stepping stones. None of it is seen on screen, I don't think, but in the behind the scenes, you can see more of it. Okay, and now for the crash here. This crash took many different tries because I actually filmed the aftermath first of Thomas, like, of like all the wreckage. So I had to film a few different tries, both the head-on shot of Thomas, which we saw earlier, and the shot here. And I'll be honest, at first I wasn't totally satisfied with it because I didn't really know how I was going to pull it off. And the reason why it zooms in so much is because it was to crop off my fingers because I was pushing Thomas with my giant fingers on screen. I would probably do it again if I had the option, but I think it turned out okay in the end. And then, of course, here there's a bit of some funny little improv here I added in because I recorded everything in 2019, but in 2021 I decided to loosen up and just have a lot more fun with it because I was trying to be super serious back in my 2019 narration. So I kind of just lightened up and added a bit of comedy. Okay, this next shot here was tricky because I didn't understand focal length at all, so it took a few tries, but it was much better when I added in the Steam effects in the 2021 version. And of course, the Fat Controller shots were originally taken with the Erdl figure. This joke here, this isn't really a joke. I chose the Fat Controller to hold up the letter B as just like a B movie joke because the B movie is like the greatest meme ever. So it's kind of like a very obscure B movie joke. Just the letter B is just a joke in itself, at least to me anyway. And of course, I use the flange font, which is used in the Thomas logo for all the little letter cards here. Now this whole bit, I actually filmed it in one really long take. So it was like 10 minutes long where I repositioned the Fat Controller for every single shot. But then in the editing, I just freeze frame every position the Fat Controller needed to be in, where he's holding a letter card or where he steps off to one side or whatever. And this scene was also partially inspired by the Mad Bomber videos because in the time-lapse of Thomas getting repaired in the Mad Bomber videos, Leo explains that he made like other engines, you know, reappear and disappear in the background. So that's what I did here with, you know, Percy and Toby, just showing that time is passing. And although I didn't intend for it, the kind of change in shadows by my hand that I accidentally caught on camera kind of looked like clouds, you know, like passing over the sun. So I didn't actually mind that in the end. I forgot to mention, it's also kind of inspired by the montage in The Sad Story of Henry. You know, obviously I used the same music and everything. And one of my favorite little Easter eggs in it. So in this one of my favorite ones was that the letter cards here, again, no one's ever going to notice this, but they actually spell out the word Wild Hops, which I didn't know like what letters to print out. So I was like, I'll just do the letters to Wild Hops. Sure, why not? So I actually lied to you guys. It's actually a Wild Hops propaganda piece. I lied. I'm sorry. And okay, now there's actually another little joke here. I'm surprised no one actually noticed this. But the little cloth that the Fat Controller is holding is meant to be the same cloth from that one bit in Old Iron that was a meme a few years ago. You know, that one meme with the driver. I don't think anyone noticed that. Now, this next shot was actually kind of inspired by Thomas Tells a Lie. I had the picture book. Well, I still have it. It kind of has like a similar angle, a similar face on Thomas. I'll put a picture on screen so you can see it. So here I just took a shot from Henry's hoax and then put the Fat Controller over top. This is one of my favorite shots here, the large letter cards that, you know, well, kind of like a large scale letter cards with, of course, the O-face sound effect here. Next, I use the same, like, yard exit shot, but of course I replaced the trucks just to add a bit of variety, because that's one of my favorite bits, is just, you know, redressing the set to make it look different in between episodes or like in between shots. Okay, now this whole bit with the boys was something I came up with myself. It was kind of based on the original version in Thomas and the Great Railway Show, because supposedly Christopher Audrey wanted to make it more intense for some like railway safety lesson or something, but he had to tone it down later on. So I decided to kind of avenge his original story by making it like super intense. Like there were some boys on the tracks and they're about to get run over. Like this is not good. So that also made the story a bit more exciting in general. It was also partially inspired by the bit in Shed 17. Well, like, I'm assuming you guys know that you guys will know the bit when the boy's like, when the boy gets run over by the train. So, and so that's also where some of the little like British voices in the background came from. You know, like, hey mate, come on, we're gonna be late. Let's go climb across the rails here, mate. Kind of based on the bit from Shed 17. You know, it wouldn't be the same without the epic music by Mavis M here, I think. Or maybe it was Sudrin Afro. I don't know. I think, no. Sudrin Afro did the Danger theme. Mavis M did the Thomas Gets Bumped theme here. So here for this shot, I had to change the focal length as Thomas was running, so that took a couple tries too. Of course, you got Thomas skidding along here with the Season 1 braking sound. For some reason, the braking sound effect from Season 1 is super intense. It's that awful like screeching sound, so I had to use that one. It's just it's very nostalgic, and it's also just really like gives me chills, you know. And of course we got the climax here, dun dun dun. So I changed the steam effects in every shot, you know, so that it wouldn't look like the steam was just overlapping. Ah, yes, and then we got the, okay, two things here. There's a little cowboy figure here. Just, I wanted to point that out. My little brother and I joke about that a lot. We just add a little cowboy figure whenever we can. And this fat controller figure was designed by a Tinkercad user called Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. And I don't know who this person is, but they have made every single character. And not just every character, but every single version of every single character ever made. So go check out their account, because they've made, like, every character. It's crazy. And then of course my little brother painted the figure here, which turned out really well. I'm super pleased with it. And then here, when the Fat Controller is reprimanding Thomas, I used a specific quote that was quoted on the Wikia, where he says, "Turns out there's nothing wrong with your eyes, you just need to keep them open." So that was like a little quote on the Wikia article. And my Fat Controller voice was kind of inspired by the DVD menu. You can click on Thomas to start Thomas if you want to continue the story. Click on Thomas again. You know, it was that voice I was trying to do. All right, almost done. So now, I'm talking a while, haven't I? And then this next shot here was the same one I used for when Thomas was leaving the sheds, just in reverse with, of course, like filters applied. So these sleeping masks were in the original story, but I designed them myself. So I thought it'd be kind of funny if they had, you know, their numbers on their sleeping masks. And it was kind of funny because I actually lost the edits I made of these sleeping masks, but I had the printed versions. So I literally took a picture of the printed version and then re-edited that onto the footage. So it kind of came full circle in that way. But anyway, I'm talking for a while. We got the credits here. Even the credits are better in the 2021 version. I like them way more. I don't know why, but I used some different font in the original version, and I don't like it at all. But yeah, so I think I've gone over everything. The sound effects, special thanks to Thomas HD Classics for all their decals and faces. I'm super disappointed that channel's gone now, but it was a great resource. Thank you so much for that. And finally, you got little Nick Wilde picture here of him winking at the end. I'm really pleased with that. And that's just kind of meant to be my little like signature, you know, at the end of most of my videos. All my videos that I'm most proud of. All right, so I've been talking for 25 minutes. No one has ever asked me to talk about Thomas for 25 minutes. Okay, I am super tired. I'm going to stop. I hope you enjoyed. The commentary for Henry's Hoax will be coming out very soon. I'm hoping to finish Green Grocery Engine for Christmas. No promises, though. But I'm sorry they are taking so long. I hope you enjoyed my other non-Thomas videos in the meantime. Thank you so much so much for watching. If you stuck around, my voice is getting very hoarse. I'm going to leave now. Bye.